Hey guys. So, what we're talking about today is hysterectomy. So, about a year and a half ago, I had a partial hysterectomy. So, they took my uterus and fallopian tubes and cervix. They left both of the ovaries because I'm only 36. So, well, at the time, not 36, but anyways. Um, we had this done for a lot of reasons. I have had multiple miscarriages and difficult deliveries, and I've gotten pregnant on almost every kind of birth control imaginable. Most of those ended in miscarriage, of course, and we just didn't want to deal with that nonsense anymore. I also had horrible irregular periods that were just painful, and so at the point of almost hemorrhage often, and we just finally, it was enough. There was also a tumor on the outside of my uterus, and that was an issue. So we had all that removed. And I did a little bit of research before the procedure, but really the point I was at, I was so desperate that I really didn't do my due diligence as far as research to consider all the potential problems or to figure out, what life would be like after the partial hysterectomy. I just, you get to a point of desperation where you're, willing to go to a witch doctor or take snake oil or, shark fins or whatever. You know what I'm talking about. You get desperate, right? Well, so we did it. And my insurance covered it 100% because of the procedure that it was. And that was nice. That was definitely nice. But the initial plan, my plan, had been to have it done laparoscopically because the recovery time is the fastest with that, and there's no hospital stay required. Because of my particular situation, however, the doctor, the surgeon, gynecologist, said we would have to do it vaginally, which is still better than, laparotomy, having your stomach cut open, but is not ideal. I don't mind scars because, I'd already had my tubes tied. And yes, I got pregnant after having my tubes tied and miscarried. That's another story for another day. So I already had scars, and I've had, 3 live children. And so it's all a mess down there anyway, and all this area. So scars are, no big deal. I didn't like the idea of having it done vaginally because I didn't know what all that entailed. In fact, I didn't find out until a few days before the procedure that I would have to stay at the hospital 1 to 2 nights, possibly 3. And that was definitely an inconvenience for one thing. For another, that scared me quite a bit, having to be admitted. I don't think I've ever been admitted for a surgery before, and I've had several surgeries for different things, and so that was very concerning. And the recovery time is significantly longer than having it done laparoscopically. If you have it done laparoscopically, people are up and about, and I mean, you're still not well, but you can be up and about, and you're, resuming a lot of your regular activities within the week, according to a lot of friends that I've talked to who've had that done. But having it done vaginally, it takes quite a bit longer. And for me, it was weeks before I was feeling, even close to, being like a human again. And very difficult, very painful. Well, it also affects a lot of other things, because that's a vital area, when you need to pee, when you need to poo, all these other things, and don't even think about sex. You've got to let everything get back on its, regular, systems, functions going again. And it's very difficult. So I had it done. I was in the hospital a little longer than the regular time because I had a hard time meeting all of the necessary requirements for discharge. My oxygen was not high enough, just several different things. Most likely from the anesthesia or the morphine, or, well, I think actually they did Dilaudid, if I remember correctly, because they started with morphine, but then I told them that I had had an issue with morphine before, and so then they switched to Dilaudid, but by then the damage was already done, and so I was having, some respiratory distress and different things. And then we couldn't get the pain under control either. And I nearly passed out a couple times when they, were trying to get me to walk and different things. So it was a very difficult situation for me. Now, other people have had that done and had it done vaginally and have done perfectly with it and have done really well. So, but I would say definitely consider all of your options if this is a procedure that you are pursuing. Now, let's talk about after. So, you go through the whole recovery period, all of that. All right. Look into that. Get your, do your research, because you'll want to be prepared for that time with, ice packs and stool softeners and something squishy to sit on and all those kinds of things. But then life after the partial hysterectomy. There were so many things that I did not realize. So another reason that we had it done is I had my gallbladder removed several months before this procedure, and it was rotted out. It was horrible, in horrible condition, and because the condition had gone on so long, it was affecting other organs. And one weird thing, and if it's weird, it happens to me in my body. It just is what it is. But one weird thing was that the problems with my gallbladder and the problems with my digestive system all peaked during my menstrual cycle, like during my period. And we couldn't figure out why. I had every test under the sun performed on me. That was a hellish time. And we'll talk about that in another video, but sorry, the air is really bad here right now. Like, everything is on fire. Mountains are burning. There's fires coming from everywhere, and I'm asthmatic and the air is horrible. So you'll have to forgive me. But anyway, we finally figured that some of my digestive problems and the pain that I was having with my gallbladder and just a lot of complications with it were definitely being affected by hormone production and by having a period. And so the thought was, well, if you're not having a period, then that should ease that up, right? Well, and in a lot of ways it did. It went from, needing, a Lortab or Norco or Percocet even to get through, that time and through the pain, even after having the gallbladder removed, because there was so much damage done and still, these digestive issues. It went from that to, being able to get away with a muscle relaxer and ibuprofen and whatnot. Well, here was what I didn't realize. And I don't know if the doctor didn't realize it either or just didn't think about it. I don't know. But I was never told this. And for some of you, this is going to sound so stupid and so naive. And you're going to be like, oh, this woman. Okay, fine. But this was my situation, okay? I did not realize, it didn't click, and they didn't say that even though you've had a partial hysterectomy and you no longer bleed and there's no uterus there anymore, you still have a period. What I mean is you still have ovaries, unless you have all of that removed and, are going into menopause, which no way. There are still hormones being produced. You still have a cycle that your body is following. And so during that time that would have been your period, or if you're like me and it's like every 2 weeks or every 3 weeks or every 5 weeks or once a week or whatever, okay? Because I've always been so irregular. You will still have those hormones going through your body during that time. You will still have cravings. You will still have mood swings. You will still have, hypersensitivity in your vagina and in your breasts. If you're one that gets really horny during that time, you'll still have that. If you have digestive issues or, irritable bowel situation, or if you had cramps, with your periods, whatever, you still have that. I'm not kidding. You still have a period because you still have ovaries. Now, is it going to be more severe for some people than others? Yes. Will some people be watching this and be like, well, that doesn't happen to me. That's not my situation. Hey, good for you. I'm so happy for you. But you're not the only woman in the world, and other people are going to have different physiological reactions, and that's just the way it is. And so these are things to be prepared for. What I have found, and I've, discussed it with my GP, my family practice doctor, and talked about, different things. And I have to take cholestyramine powder often, but especially during that time. And it's a binder. It binds the bile that would normally be stored in your gallbladder. When you have your gallbladder removed, hopefully, and in a lot of cases, your body extends a portion of your intestines or something and in the bile duct, or I don't know, anyway, and kind of takes the place in a way of your gallbladder, which used to store your excess bile. In my case, that has not happened, and at this point, since it hasn't happened yet, the doctor thinks it is most likely not ever going to happen. So the cholestyramine powder binds to that bile that's just running loose, flooding through your intestines, and helps to bind it, which stops a lot of the cramping that the intestines are doing because of all this bile going through. And that cramping causes significant pain, horrible pain, and diarrhea. Well, the cholestyramine helps to, ease that up a bit. So since that is doubly painful and horrible when those hormones are being produced, I still take Pamprin or Midol during that time. I also take a muscle relaxer during that time when I just cannot take it. Another one, and this my doctor recommended to start taking at the very first sign of those hormones coming through, is naproxen, which is over the counter, because it helps with the cramping. Not everyone will get cramping, and I'm not talking about the cramping of the intestines. I'm talking cramping down in your lower belly where you would get it when you had a period. Those hormones are telling your body to cramp, so they're going to cramp something in that same area where the uterus used to be. But the naproxen can counter that or ease it up and make it bearable. And then, of course, I still use heating pads and all this kind of thing. So I didn't know. I didn't know. I wish I would have done more research, but I didn't. So I've had to learn some of this the hard way. So hopefully, if this is something you are considering doing, looking into, whatever, please do your due diligence. Look at lots of different people's stories and how things went. Look at every option that you have. Having a partial or full hysterectomy is obviously the last resort, and to get it approved, it will have to be your last resort, and especially depending on who your provider is. You have to have jumped through a few years, at least, of different hoops in order to get it approved in the first place. But on top of that, you need to really do the research. Take it from me, please. Don't learn the hard way. You don't have to, okay? But, and especially if you have other contributing or, connected conditions, look into all of it. Look into every aspect, because it will be vital. It really will. So, if you do have it done, though, just keep these things in mind, that you're still going to need to have some preparations, and some things on hand for that time to, get you through it. You're still going to need your chocolate. You're still going to need your Midol and your heating pad, and you're going to want to have a lot of sex. There you go. Not all those things are bad, okay? And you no longer have all the blood and the nasty to deal with. And that has been the best benefit of all, second to not worrying about getting pregnant anymore. That had become really psychologically just heavy, really heavy on me. And, I just emotionally, that was a real trial, a real struggle, having had my tubes tied and still not being secure, in that. It was very, very difficult. And so that is definitely the best thing that has come from having the hysterectomy, the partial hysterectomy. And I'm grateful for that. I'm so grateful for that. And I'm grateful, for amazing insurance and all that kind of thing, and supportive husband and family. But just, well, and then not having to, be bleeding all over anymore and worrying about hemorrhage and passing out and all this from blood loss. And those are, definitely the benefits. They're awesome. But on the flip side, keep in mind these other things that you will still need to deal with until menopause. So any other conditions that you have connected with the hormones, they'll still be there, because you still have the hormones. So having your uterus and tubes and cervix and all that removed is not going to take care of hormone-related issues. So, all right, that's all I have to share on that. I hope it has been helpful to someone out there. Next time, we will talk about gallbladder removal and some of the things that I have experienced with it, and just, my story and what I learned that may, be helpful, hopefully, to somebody out there. I wish I would have had someone telling me all these things before I had stuff done. I have had 9 or 10 surgeries. I need to count them up and figure it out. But I do want to talk about each and every one of them and give an idea of, tell you why I had them done, what my experience was and what I've learned from them. And someone out there, I really hope someone will benefit from it. Anyway, thank you so much for joining me today. I'm going to go use my inhaler and maybe another nebulizer treatment. These fires need to be put out. Oh my goodness, rain, please, rain. All right. Thanks for joining me, guys. We'll catch you all later. Have a great day.